This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This is the way I talk tonight.
Okay,
No. What's the date today? July 7th, right?
correct.
Welcome to the July 7th, 2025 Zumbrota Park Board meeting. We are in session and a call to order. Few things on the agenda tonight. A little more than normal, a little less than normal. How are the last couple months? Decent. A lot of accounts payables going out, looks like.
Mhm.
So we have a budget talk.
Mhm.
These are the minutes from last time.
Yep. I think we gotta approve the agenda first.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's carry forward. The minutes from June 2nd. Did you get the signatures you needed for AP?
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from June 2nd of 2025.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Here's the date again. That's June though, right?
Yes, the month of June.
Okay. This one with the Excel phase 3 coming, is that what PH3 means?
What are you talking?
Where am I at here? On the back of this one. No, I was probably looking at June or May.
Gotcha.
It's like the month that was 31,000.
Oh, yeah, that was on last month, I think. Looks to be pretty straightforward.
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we have public comment time available. This is where we freestyle rap, and Bob and I together cross our hands like this, shoulders. Or anybody else could talk at this time.
I'm good, thanks.
Okay.
There's no public here.
Public. Okay, if we're good, we'll move on to, it looks like the priority list went to number A, which would be 11. But thank you for doing that.
Yep.
I just threw that on. The last time it was in the minutes that I found was in August a year ago. So if we're gonna talk about doing pickleball, signs, etc., then maybe we could add a new.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think that should be the top of our priority list to do those pickleball courts
Oh, yeah?
and do them right. That's my opinion. I think it'd be a huge asset to the park in the city.
With the amount of comments that we've been getting from the public, I agree.
Yeah.
A lot of people are asking for them.
No, it looks like there's a design, we'll get there, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we're just talking about the
And
priority
that's
list.
What I brought up, the one in Pine Island is so impressive how they did that with the surface and the nets and the hockey boards around it to keep the balls in and the, places for people to sit, and it's busy all the time that I've been over there.
The other thing I'd like us to get tied up and done is the sign.
Yep, absolutely. I think we need to make a decision on that tonight.
Okay. The basketball court up on Highlands top part, is that part of the list? Or is that just a maintenance thing we're looking at in the future?
Is there one up there right now, or are they requesting one?
They're just talking about it, fundraising. on
The
their-
last I remember that, it was, we weren't sure if we should start putting them in specific neighborhoods like that, because then it would be like, where do we stop? I think that's what I remember, but
Where
I
do we
couldn't-
stop?
yeah,
Let's go.
yeah, put one everywhere, you bet. But
We need to go back to our minutes and look at that because I think we voted on that we
to
were
put
not.
it up there,
No,
To
that we
not.
would, that we were not
Okay.
going to support them using parkland for that.
okay, that's fine.
Because we didn't want to get into the thing of who's going to maintain it once they put it in, and
Okay.
who's going to do the work, and is it quality work?
Oh, yeah, that's right, because
Yeah.
it was, they wanted to do it themselves. and
Right.
We weren't going to do it for them.
Yeah, so we need to go back and look at our minutes on that one.
Agreed,
Wasn't it?
or more,
Or more.
yeah.
But was that communicated to them so that they know? Because if they are talking about fundraising still for it.
I think Brian was gonna reach back out to them because I think they initially had contacted him for that.
Okay.
And I haven't, and the person that was asking about that, she's usually really good at following up. And I
Okay.
have talked to her about other things and she hasn't mentioned it.
Okay,
So I bet that he did follow up with her
Okay.
on that.
The disc golf isn't on here for some reason, but it used to be, so.
Yeah, we talked about that last meeting, Mike,
Mhm.
as well, and, yeah, we want to push to get that done.
So we're hoping Troy would be here to, because he's kind of
Yeah,
spearheading that.
Okay, and then, speaking of Troy, softball fields like lights or field sign, a scoreboard, I mean. The lights, they've been crossed off. Okay. So maybe if you guys, we're just spitballing. If you want to add something, we can remove it later. Just to throw the idea onto the priority list.
yep,
That's in the making.
and rebuild Kids Kingdom is crossed off.
Yeah, I think that wasn't a priority because it wasn't needed at this time.
Okay, all right.
I think was what you guys had decided.
Yep, okay.
isn't there a specific account that we
That's what I
have
thought.
that takes money that goes into it just for that?
I think that you guys voted to move that money though.
Okay.
So I can't say for sure if that account is still there.
Okay.
I'd have to check with Kim or Brian on that one.
I think it's still there. I think it was like still set aside. There was some.
Were you
Well,
guys
that's-
asked, or maybe you're not contributing to it anymore? Yeah, I can't remember for sure. That was quite a few years ago we talked about that.
I think it's still reserved though, whatever it's at.
Budget sheet.
It's hard to tell. Everything is coded with numbers. And that's for a reason, I think.
Okay, just to consider a couple things, East Park, anything that you didn't like put on priority list on East Park?
Not that I can think of.
It needs shingles, I think.
Shingles. And then South Park, I want to add the plaque. That's not gonna be a priority list, so that's all I'm thinking about with South Park. If you guys think about a bench there, like a Quick Trip rest stop, or not just Quick Trip, but all the companies there. Pit stop, rest stop.
Well, if you want a bench there, you could reach out to the Lions Club and ask them for one like at East Park, because I think there's one in my garage that needs to go somewhere that doesn't have a home. But I don't know. There was pushback on the design of that earlier, so.
I think the tree replacement's all done too, for the most part.
Yeah.
And the sign is up. The championship sign.
Trestle Bridge was repaired.
Yeah. What did you want me to add to it? Was there anything we've said we wanted to add to it?
To the priority list?
Yeah.
We got pickleball,
Yep, that's right, that's what it was.
the entrance sign. Disc golf needs.
Yep.
East Park shingles. And that's all that we got so far.
So in that piece of land up there on Jefferson, where they put the trees, you know, that newly created triangle,
Yeah.
is that been sodded or seeded or
I believe that's seated.
seeded?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Can we name that park? Or is there?
Future Dog Park.
But like, is there a figure that we could honor with the name?
Oh,
Like that?
Tree Park.
Tree Park.
Dog Tree Park. Tree Dog. Great ideas.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of stuff already.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty aggressive already for a list.
Big wish list there.
It keeps our eyes on the dollars as we talk budget and the 3 years ahead or so that we could try to figure out.
Not like the 10, 12 that it's taken for the pool.
Right.
Mm.
With the right capital plan, things can follow a schedule.
My third go around on the park board, we finally got it to the referendum. Took a while.
Okay, I have a note from Kim as of August 30th last year. Kids Kingdom was $7,793. I moved it from the general operating account to restricted last August. $7,800 about.
Okay.
That's locked away somewhere. Somewhere. You guys happy with that talk?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm good, thank you.
Me too, I appreciate that. Moving on to letter B, the pool update. Which I believe is in Brian Grugham's email tonight.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, I don't have the email, so I hope that you guys read it.
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Can I read it out loud?
Yep.
Sure, absolutely.
In his voice? I'll try it, okay. Well, guys, this is Brian. Just kidding. We are on schedule for plans to be complete in August, for plans to be complete in August, which is bidding in the beginning of September, construction start after that. I will ask Burbach to attend the August Park Board meeting to walk us through the plans. There may still be some structural plans to finish, but you will be able to see all the important stuff. I believe he's talking about the blueprints themselves, right?
Right.
Okay. I would like to be able to go out to bid to demo the pool buildings and maybe the vessel as well. I spoke to our city attorney and we can split the demo out and get 3 quotes for that work. The thought is that showing progress before the Covered Bridge Festival is important to hopefully generate more excitement and donations. Please consider making a motion and approving getting quotes for demo. I would also like to see what a big version concept plan would cost. I think a large-scale picture of the future pool with a projected opening of summer 2026 would also aid in the excitement. I would also note on the plan picture board that more donations are needed.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we should do the demo, get the quotes for that. That's absolutely, but are we allowed to put a picture out with the projected opening and stuff? That wouldn't be considered fundraising, would it? I'm just wondering if it'd be misconstrued. Because I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea, but is it something that we shouldn't be doing as the park board? I don't know.
But could we approve the funds for the fundraising committee to go forward with that project and have it made?
I don't see why not. That's,
Is that what he's asking?
I think he's just asking permission from you guys to go out and get those bids, because you guys are still responsible for
Right.
the money.
right.
Right,
That's-
yeah, the
we'll do
bids is,
that.
yeah, but what he's talking about is the large scale picture. Is that something we as the park board can do, or is that something that the fundraising committee needs to
Right,
do?
because he said, I would also like to see what a big version of the concept plan would cost. I think a large-scale picture of the future pool with a projected opening of summer 2026 would also aid in the excitement.
I think he's asking for park board funds to do that rather than committee funds. Yep.
I think it's probably going to have to be two separate motions though, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we get some quotes for the demolition of the old pool and surrounding buildings.
And I will second that.
All in favor
Aye.
and opposed? Motion carried for getting quotes for demolition of the pool.
I got a question for three of you as far as dollars for the pool. And I know we're behind on the fundraising. We've said that we bond for 3 million and then fundraise the rest. And we're not to that point yet that we have all the fundraising. What's everyone's thoughts on this? On where we can get those funds, how we're gonna get them? I know Brian's come up with some ideas, but that's going back and taking more taxes from the constituents, which we weren't going to do.
Correct.
So I guess I'm just trying to get your views on what is the best way to proceed, or how can we proceed, or to fund that gap.
So I don't want to make a comment on that until I've had that fundraising committee here in front of us and we know what they've done. We've asked them to come and give a report and they have not.
Okay.
And so I think we need to know what's happened before we can make plans going forward.
Yeah, and Bob, I don't think we should dip in pockets again. I don't think, if at all possible. But I'd like to know like you just said, I'd like to know exactly where we stand before we start to make drastic plans if we have to. But, I honestly, at this point, I know we're short, but I don't know how short, But yeah, honestly, I think a lot of people think that they already paid and are paying through the referendum. So when we're sticking our hand out again, saying we need some more again, they're going, why? I already paid,
And that's the comments that I've heard in and
Yeah.
around town, that if we needed to fund for this, why didn't we just fund it?
And I've heard those comments too.
And they feel like we're double dipping now, that we're taxing them and now we're asking them to open up their wallets.
And my concern is just that this is what we asked on the referendum, was to bond for 3 to fundraise the rest. And if we change from that,
Mhm.
I don't think we can.
I don't think we can either. I think
No.
if we do it, we have to go back and start at the beginning then. I don't know that for sure. I don't know what the legalese is on all of that. But before we make any plans, we have to find out what has happened.
I think legally, and
Okay.
I think, are you feeling like morally we shouldn't? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know how you could do it legally either, because that's what was voted on.
Yeah,
But-
there was like an up to something, like we can do something up to, you'd have to talk to Brian about it for sure. Because I kind of heard it in passing how it could be done. And I'm not sure if he presented that to you guys yet at the work session or
No.
anything like that.
And I don't know how that all works. It just seems
Yep.
going the back door, which doesn't seem quite upfront.
You'd have to have him go over the details because I'm not too up on it. I just know that I've heard that, well, it could be done, but do we want to do it that way?
I'd like to know, but aren't we gonna hear from Burbach next month, didn't it say?
Mhm.
I mean, aren't they, when we contracted with them, weren't they part of the solution? Boy, it'd be no problem raising this money, and we've done it everywhere else, and what have we heard from them? Crickets? I mean.
I don't know,
not-
because we
not-
haven't heard anything from the
Yeah, not a
committee.
darn thing, so I
So-
just don't want it to come back around and say, what were you guys doing as a park board when this fell through your fingers because the money didn't get raised?
Mhm.
I mean, we need to hear from Burbach, we need to hear from the fundraising committee, and they need to tell us where they're at.
Could we get them here in August, the committee?
I think Brian has been acting as the liaison for them, but I'll tell him that we want more members here.
Because technically Brian can't go out and fundraise either.
No, but he's been listening in on their meetings. He can attend, like, listen in on them.
Okay.
What do you think, Mike?
I was contemplating on the backing up on what happens if everything just kind of falls apart. I believe we are, how many tens of thousands into Burbach, right? So once we subtract that, that's our penalty, and then we just kind of reverse on the voters and then return everything. I don't know how it works. So, but again, the vote was like, this pool costs 5.4, this design is 5.4, and that's what we voted on as taxpayers. So anything above that, it's out of the question. So do we redesign the pool to be $3 million? Do we just go down just to get it done?
Yeah.
Or I've been hearing the word phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and I'm like, it would be nice to have what phase we're in. It seems like we're in phase 2 of the blueprints and fundraising, but phase 1 of the demo. So maybe in 2 years, we can complete a phase 2 of construction,
Right.
with the money of the vote. And then the next phase of the pool, phase 3, is another vote and another design to carry on what we did.
Right. Yeah, and I think it'd be probably advantageous to know, at least when Brian's here next, on who has what swim lane, okay? Because I thought that we were part of the design of the pool, and all through the designs they went through and they got to a final, and then it went to the committee who was part of the fundraising committee who came out with a new design, which didn't make any sense to me. So I think it'd be at least advantageous to me to say, this is what you're responsible for, this is what you're responsible for, this is what you're responsible for. So everybody is on the same page. And I'm not thinking that we had to do something or we couldn't do something that we were told that was ours or our responsibility.
I think that's great, because now that we could set up like the hierarchy then.
Correct.
The park board oversees, the committee conversates, fundraises. Burbach manages the project,
Correct.
right? Like then we can have that piece to piece to all these other.
Yeah, then we'll have regular updates and know what's going on. And if they can't be at the meeting, send us an email recap or something so we have the information just to know where it stands.
Quickly.
Okay, cool.
The other part to that I wanted to mention was management, communication, and then I said oversee. I lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
Oh, that's where the end result is that the voter wants us, the vote, wants us to do a pool, right? So if we're overseeing this project as a park board, our responsibility is to do a pool because
Correct.
the vote said so. So they didn't say, hey, park board, design it and manage it. They said, do a pool.
Right.
So we can get our feet, we can get our hands dirty and be like, all right, we're going to do this kind of project with what we got for the vote.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I'm really shouting stuff I don't know about. So be careful with what my opinion is. Might be stepping on some toes by saying that.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Well, sometimes that's not a bad thing.
No.
We need to have the information.
Yep.
And we're not getting it. That's the bottom line.
Mhm. And great question.
Yeah, and we can't make informed decisions if we don't have all of the information.
Did you hear anything that you would respond to?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you hear anything in our conversation that you'd want to respond to?
No, I like where you're going with it, and you just want to think it through and get all the information. And I know we can't do a lot until we get the final plans from Burbach. We can't even do much till we actually know what the cost is going to be when we actually put it out for bids. I'm just trying to think forward on, and I hate to be a naysayer, but the fundraising has been slow. But I'm just trying to say, not that we have to pull the plug, but when do you pull the plug? When do you say we're going to stop spending money on it if we're not going to be able to do it? So I'm just trying to be forward thinking. So I was looking for your answers and I appreciate what you gave, so.
It's a good
And-
question.
It is a good question. And the thing that I think about is even if we don't build a pool, we have to get rid of what's out there because it's a danger.
Yes.
So even if we don't go forward with the pool, we still have to demo
Yeah.
and clean it up.
I
So,
think it'll be important to have Burbach here next month.
Mhm.
Be able to say, this is how much money we have so far. What could we get with that? So if
Mhm.
there needed to be some, budgeting
Yep.
changes,
and
they could answer that.
Okay. We will have a very productive August meeting. I'm
I-
hoping.
Think so too.
mhm.
And this is the year where it's supposed to be all messed up and then next year it gets built. So
Yep.
we're messed up this year.
As far as that poster board goes, are you guys interested in pursuing something like that, or do you want to wait on it?
If he wants to bring us some data on what the cost of said poster board would be good.
And would you agree with his mention of what was that, high view or the long shot view he was asking for, Brian Grudem?
Oh. How did he word that again? I
Right.
can look it up. We can do a motion for that. I don't see any reason why not to.
If it costs hundreds of dollars of design,
Say up to, I don't know, what would something like that cost ballparkish?
seen $300 in engineering design fees. I've seen like zero. It's like just a design sketch.
Could you forward that email to me so I have some of his wording?
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
Cool, thank you.
Are you talking about the big version concept plan?
Right. It's like we had that as a $8 million pool. Something. Hey, my wife mentioned like, what if we just build the splash pad this year? Like a phase 0.5 and just get a splash pad going for the kids.
Remember the splash pad? That was like $1 million, over $1 million.
Oh, I think we were talking if the pool was having like a delay for years and years, like just get a splash pad going.
Gotcha.
Just threw that out there.
Because with the pool that they had presented to us, the splash pad area would be the zero entry area into the pool.
Correct.
So if we did a splash pad now, it would be a separate splash pad with no zero entry or whatever.
Yeah, it would just be a standalone. I think the issue was then it would have its own mechanics and equipment,
Mhm.
which would
Put us at
be
two
more money.
mechanic rooms.
Yeah, yep.
That was part of the design at one time, is having a.
It wasn't part of the design, it was part of the discussion.
Discussion.
Yep. Because we've thought about, it's been talked about here, why don't we put a splash pad now and then
Just
down the
there's something-
road? So there was pros and cons to that, and, I mean, that's not saying that if, all of this, whatever happens with it, it couldn't be revisited. I mean, you guys can do whatever you'd like to, you talk about whatever you want.
So I guess this big version
Within reason.
concept plan, in my mind, it would be just something bigger than what he's got sitting out there.
Correct, that's kind of what I think he's seen.
So just a bigger picture board of that,
Something, something,
no, I'm sure, I think that's what he means.
something.
Sorry.
And
Yeah,
I
it's just a
think
billboard.
like
Yeah.
the final design, like I
Yeah.
think that's, just kind of a,
So
This
if
is
we,
what it could
if we
be.
get a final design that we can go for, then yeah, we could do a new picture board.
Yep.
But I don't just want to recreate that in a bigger version if it's not going to be what we're headed for.
fair, yep.
I think he should get an estimate and tell us exactly what he's thinking
Yeah.
next meeting.
Summertime.
I think we need to do everything we can do though to make this pool happen. Because
The
it's been-
people want it.
they want it and it's been way too long. We need to get this done. We can't let it slip through our fingers.
I know there's still some open fundraising discussions with some different places.
Right.
I'm just guessing, but I want to say that it's like a $700,000 gap right now.
I think that was the last number I'd seen too, some right there.
So I'm not saying that the ones that are still out there are going to fill the gap, but I'm kind of hopeful that there's still the ones that are open to me have the potential to be big, but
You never know.
you never know.
Mhm.
Yep. I mean, we're obviously grateful for anything that anybody can provide, so.
Are you satisfied, Mr. Priggy? I'm sorry. I'm just joking with you tonight.
Oh, that's
So
fine.
much. You want to move on to the pickleball
Pickleball.
court updates and move on from this pool discussion?
Yeah, Jeff.
This is what you guys requested last meeting from City of Pine Island. That's kind of what you've been using as a, kind of a target picture.
Yep.
So this is basically what they spent, or what you're looking at, what they got. And I think their slab is, it says at the top there, 60 by 160. I think we're 60 by 180, I believe. But I think is theirs all pickleball, and I mean, we have some basketball, so maybe you wouldn't coat the whole thing.
I think theirs is all pickleball.
Yeah, in Pine Island, it's all pickleball, but here, obviously, we got that court right on the end. But even if,
Dynamics area.
yeah, but even if we lost those courts down here, I wouldn't be opposed to that because there's courts right across the street over there. So,
Popular too.
yeah, so I mean, if we needed that space to get everything in, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
It looks like their project totaled around 147,000, give or take, in 2023. I believe all of those were from 2023, all of their estimates.
That was the hockey arena and
Yep,
the fencing.
Yep, I added together because they had, the package that they chose was 106, roughly 107,000. And then they upgraded their fencing for $6,300. Plus the painting came to 34,000. So give or take 147,000 for the total. Because it looks like there's some à la carte options on there too that you could choose from, different options.
They must be doing something right over there because they're putting in a massive slide for their pool too. It was like a lot of money.
What's the trick?
How's their park board get away with that?
We should combine a meeting one night.
Exactly.
Go visit them.
Taxes are higher.
Their taxes are higher and they're selling
That
land.
is true.
Yeah.
They structure their stuff a little bit differently than we do over here.
Mhm.
Do you have any insight on their park board structure?
Not on their park board structure. I just know that they, instead of using tax dollars to improve roads, they assess everybody. So they don't have road improvement costs in their budget.
That would help some roads.
So that changes it.
Big time. Do you know if they had to do this, like this coating stuff all in one shot? Is that like well, obviously it's one of the biggest costs, but I'm just curious if we could do, it probably wouldn't stick correctly, but try to do stuff in phases so we wouldn't have to eat 150 in one shot.
Yeah, your coating was that the 34,000?
Yeah, so the 106,000 was
That had
just
to
the
be done in
stuff.
one shot for sure.
Yeah, 106 was your, that was your ice skating rink. That's your walls and
Yeah, just the
boards
stuff,
and-
not the surface.
Yep.
so, yeah, I think you're I mean, I don't know if you could phase that painting. I doubt that contractor is going to want to.
I wouldn't
Make
want to
multiple trips,
myself
yeah.
because it wouldn't.
Then I wonder if you could phase it where you just bought like the walls and the fencing and painted it a different year.
Correct.
That would break it up a little bit.
So this is combining, their quote was combining the hockey rink and the pickleball.
Yes, because that's what you guys were looking to do is have the wall be a permanent fixture. And not something that gets taken down every winter.
The two ends, being in the floodplain, same as theirs, would have to, I think we discussed, would have to open,
Yep,
which their design is to or whatever.
yep.
Looks really nice.
It's really nice. I have no idea how much money we have to spend right now as a park board.
Okay.
At
So
all.
I expected that. This is kind of old data, but I could obtain the account balances pretty quickly here. It would come out of some odd $222,000 last year. This is old data. This is probably bad, but
We can have Kim provide us
Yeah.
a number for next month.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just,
I don't think we've spent 300 grand in the past 6 months. Do you guys feel like we have?
no.
Mm-mm.
AP's on average 10 grand for this year. And any projects that we bought, I guess, it comes out of payable, so.
That 300 was your last ledger or your last balance?
Last balance, and that's just the 225, 226, which is the maintenance funds.
Hmm.
And the pool has a different balance going on. Did you guys know that the pool has a fund? It's 200K is open knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we put that into the fundraising.
Correct.
That would leave 121K still in the restricted pool fund to do some kind of pool building or demo. And then there's another fund with 130 pool operating fund. So we could drain that until the pool's built to do stuff.
Because we don't have to operate it.
Just to summarize, $260,000 of pool money is sitting there unrestricted, so to speak.
I don't know if we can necessarily move that to park
We can't touch that.
stuff. Yep, you'd have to do just pool stuff with that.
Yeah, just for pool building,
Mhm.
like demo.
I think he was just saying that FYI.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, absolutely. There's
Yeah.
money in that fund for sure.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yep, sorry.
As I stutter over what I'm trying to say.
So there is an account there with a fairly significant balance that would probably cover.
And I believe that fund is still set up to receive the money as if the pool were still operational. I don't think that we've gotten rid of that.
No.
So, I mean, you're still,
That's like $70K a year going into it,
that sounds about, yeah, something
and
like
that's
that.
split off the two levy payments, I think.
Yes.
Interesting. If I would speak for Kim is accounting still, right? If I would speak in Kim's kind of tone, she would say, hey, watch yourself, don't blow $100K on a project when you got all this other stuff looking ahead. Stuff to maintain, stuff to repair. She'd say, be careful.
I want to know how much exactly that we have to spend.
I'll have her, I sent her an email already. She should be in tomorrow. I'll have her get that number together and then I'll send that out to all of you guys so you have that to think about for next month. So I'll send it out before the next meeting.
Yeah, especially with the campground or whatever, the
Yep.
240 allocated there. I'm not sure how much of that is. If
Right.
some of that is that grant money that got
Right.
put in there and whatnot, so. Just have some ongoing projects yet to be wary.
Where we are with the ongoing projects and when are we going to be done with the ones that are ongoing? So then we can kind of zero all of that out and then
Yep.
get our feet underneath us.
Is Mr. Olson forwarding emails to Mr. Myers?
Yes, I get them through his office there, yeah.
Good deal. Beautiful pickleball design.
They're gorgeous. I mean, just think about that right over there. It's so awesome.
I actually didn't even realize that was the photo of them.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was thinking that was like
No.
a big city up in the cities. I'm like, oh man, that would be a dream. And I'm like, wait, that
So how many
is fun.
courts do we have out there? Would we have 4 out there too then?
We could put 4. Yeah, we got the space.
We have three. One with a net, 2 without nets.
Yeah, and the nets are a little sad looking.
Can we
Nice
please,
ones with the wheels.
can we please bypass convention and paint that maroon and white and not blue and green?
We can paint it any
The
color
color
we
we
want.
want.
We could paint it in cougar colors too.
Green.
Well, that's pickleball regulations.
Is that pickleball regulation blue and green?
It seems like it. It's everywhere.
In the green.
Couple people
Yeah,
would still
the
remember.
green is
Well-
like grass kind of, so it is.
So,
basically
it's
cougar
got
colors.
that blue and gray silver, so that kind of is the school colors there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure you could do whatever your heart's desire.
That. We'll entertain moving on to a status update on Frisbee golf tee boxes. Are we referring back to the email, I wonder?
Yeah, I don't have anything. I don't know if they're even in I think we're kind of waiting to talk to Troy.
There's nothing in the email about them.
No, so I don't think we have any updates.
It's
Nobody's,
just, he talks, the next in his email is the budget and then hand dryers for the bathroom.
Sorry.
And the sign, yep.
We can table that until Troy's
Yep.
here if you'd like.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's table that. Robert's Rules of Meetings, table something. I know I read it somewhere. Covered Bridge Park entrance sign. Gotta keep it light.
Okay.
I know this is ultimately up to you guys, but I love this sign.
I do too.
How come?
I think it is so unique.
Mhm.
Would you have in the walkway an open window?
That's what I was thinking, but I think the initial thought behind it was that there would be some kind of a map on the back. And so I don't know how,
Like the one now has, didn't it have like information type of stuff?
I'm
Yeah.
sure how well utilized it is.
Right.
So, but that's exactly what I was thinking too, was to have all of the windows and the back be open as if you were walking through it. But I don't know how tall that would be, like if you could do that and still have a map there.
Right.
But I just think this is so cool. I think it's fresh and updated. Yet still traditional, I guess you could say, because it's,
Because even if it is open like that, and then you stand from behind, you still have that like area where it says all the way from the park up, where you could have a map behind it.
right. So I just don't know how high that would sit. If it would, be out of reach for too many to see, or, if it's large enough, maybe it would be pretty easy to see.
I think it'd be cool.
I think it's really cool.
I don't see any line for like electric LED lights or anything. Would that just be implemented through some other service?
I don't think there's already a light that shines on it now.
Ground lights.
Yeah, so I think it would just stay that unless you had.
There might be trying to remember on the back side of that one, that information board on the back, I think there might be like a reading light on that maybe or something.
Right.
A picture.
So there is, I mean, there is power there.
Okay, we could just tap into that.
Yep.
So this invoice that's over here, is this 3,000 the cost to do this?
So that would be for the sign portion of it, and then the backwoods metal would be.
Okay. So the total would be 2975.12 plus 3045.
Yeah, it'd be just over 6,000. $6,012.20.
Ain't nothing cheap anymore.
Ain't nothing cheap, and it has to stand the test of time.
It's metal, glass.
I think it's aluminum, to be honest with you. I think he'll cut it on his plasma out of aluminum or his water jet.
Are we using the existing brick? I missed that.
Yes.
Yes. It's CNC aluminum.
Yeah.
Can you remortar brick?
Yes.
Because there's mortar coming off of that.
Yep. You
Yeah.
can remortar it and you can put the wicking in.
It could use a facelift for sure.
Yeah, lifetime guarantee. Do you think he'll throw that in?
No, he won't throw that in.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I can
guess.
tell you that right
Yeah,
now.
I'm gonna guess probably not,
But,
but he does have a very quality product.
Yes,
and
sir.
that would be the one thing that I would, when they start working on it, if we find out that the brickwork needs to be redone or touched up, then that could put us up with another cost to the project. We'll just have to think about that.
Yeah.
Hopefully that
Oh,
would-
it's nice.
I make a motion that we approve the sign and the payment of the invoices for the sign work and the metal work.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Here comes new sign. I think it's Paul, right? P and K?
Mhm.
If you are in contact or anybody, send our gratitude.
Yeah, very nice.
And he's always very quick with our stuff too. I don't know if you guys have been down into the campground lately, but he got that new sign. He got that done, and so the guys got that up and been meaning to drive down there to make sure that my numbers are sticking. I had him do it special, so it was magnetic, so I could just
Oh, switch it out.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
try to see how those are holding out. But yeah, he did. He works quickly and he's easy to work with, so I really appreciate him.
I have to talk to him about some nature signs.
I recommend him to anybody. He's
Maybe
good
he's
to
the
work
one we
with.
need to talk to about our T signs too.
T signs.
Yeah.
Because this 3M laminate, like you can make a metal etch sign or you can get this like UV protected laminate stuff.
Mhm.
And the ceramic coating probably is the way to go.
Okay, budget.
Okay, budget.
Are we just supposed to be looking and seeing where we got our
Yeah,
increases or what's the,
yeah, we presented this last month as well. I don't, as far as I know, I don't believe there was any questions or anything submitted to Kim. So this is exactly the same as it was last month.
okay,
It doesn't need to be approved at this meeting, but I just want to keep it on there to,
understood.
yeah, to keep it in your guys' minds and still know that if you have questions, you can definitely shoot them over to Kim or any of us really, and we can get them to Kim.
Okay.
So I believe Brian said we could even wait until the September meeting to get it approved. So we still have some time for questions.
Here too, maybe
Yeah.
we'll get, for sure, maybe Troy and hopefully Kayla too.
Yes, exactly.
Cool stuff is that it's pretty transparent. Some things track down with the account numbers are hard to really sift through. There doesn't seem to be a pattern that I'm finding yet in the accounting, and not in the accounting, but in the ups and downs and outliers. What's problematic is that we need an activity such as disc golf tees with a ledger underneath it. And then what I would expect is that these account numbers are gonna be in that ledger. Maybe we don't have to pay attention to those. It's a city payment kind of plan. But the activity ledger would help us see like how much we're spending on the activity, how much is left to spend, how much we need to budget for, or before all that, what it would cost up front, and if we have it.
Right.
That is what I'm trying to compile at home
Right.
and get a display, a presentation or something. So I'm just running into not a pattern, not a spreadsheet that I can, and a chart that I can show you year after year, just numbers. Payment, payment, payment. Right?
Probably book some time with Kim, you know,
For sure.
just say, can I come in and talk to you for an hour and say, I got a list of questions that I want to ask you for some specifics, and I'm sure she'd be glad to let you bend her ear for an hour.
Those are almost Kim's words
Yeah,
that I just said because that was her idea, that
Yep.
activity ledgers.
yeah,
Condensing all the other ones, or I mean, you guys at the council meeting got a taste of that too. Instead of this, I don't know if she's gone that far yet, but she's condensed them down to a lot more visible, easier to read. you
Color
know,
coding.
Yeah,
and-
color coded, understand, you know.
Yeah, making it a little more user friendly
Excellent.
for those that don't look at it every day, like her.
Excellent. So by September, at the latest, we should be prepared to make some wise numbers. And you can straight up say, hey, I want camping fee budget to be this much, and we'll cross it off, and then we'll put a number down.
Yep.
I've seen that done. What am I saying? You guys have been on this board for years and years and years. You guys want to talk about hand dryers?
Looks like we're gonna.
Accelerating.
We're looking at hand dryers because our towel purchase cost is $1,100 a year, right?
Correct, yeah, we're looking at 6. We do 2 in the Trailhead, 2 in the Kids Kingdom bathroom, and then the new campground bathroom would also
Okay.
be equipped with them. The estimates you see in front of you, the only difference between them is you have a 2-year limited warranty hand dryer on the one set, and you have a 7-year on the other, I believe, is the difference in your pricing there. So it's this 6 hand dryers, just 3 locations, 6 hand dryers, just 2 different models of hand dryers.
I think he said if I'm remembering what Brian said, I think he said he's put in a lot of the ones that are on the higher one,
On the 7-year.
and he is not familiar with the lower budgeted one. We're not as familiar.
Is the Trailhead part of the trails system?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is the Trailhead part
Yes.
of the trail system?
Yes, it
And
is.
the park board
Park
is
board.
not
Yes.
responsible for,
Correct. So that portion of the bill would not be your guys'
Right.
responsibility. So
so,
yeah, that would cut it down quite a bit for you guys.
so we can't then make a decision about the Trailhead.
True.
So who makes a decision about the Trailhead?
That would be council. Mm-hmm.
So if we go ahead and say we're gonna put the more expensive ones in ours, then will city council follow the lead and put the same in? Possibly.
I was leaning.
That just
would be
makes
my
sense
thought.
to
Yeah.
me.
You've got a 7-year
Consistent.
warranty,
Good.
and it's a 5.5-year payback. That,
Yep, that's pretty good.
Extra warranties.
From a standpoint or whatever, we do a lot of cleaning up of towels in there on the weekends and stuff. There's a lot
So
of
then,
waste.
so then what I would like to see happen, that if we're gonna go ahead and put these hand dryers in, then we take the towels out so that people don't have a choice,
Correct.
right? Okay.
That's great information. Thanks for saying that the towel mess. Yes.
Yeah, for some reason, the general public loves to make a mess with those.
Oh, yeah. Is there an air dryer for the toilet paper?
Yeah, it's called a bidet.
It is called a bidet, and
And I will not be participating in a public restroom with a bidet.
It's 5-year savings.
so then our portion,
We have there's one, no, there's. It'd be 4 for us then.
right.
Yeah, it'd be 4 for us.
And this 5,000 number is all of the 6 together, so we'd have to divide that by 6 and multiply by 4, whatever.
Yeah, a little separate, differently because of wiring and difficulty. He
Sure.
walked each site or whatever, so it was all accessibility to his, how much conduit he had to run and this and that, so
So
it's.
we could make the motion that we will pay for the 2 for Kids Kingdom and the 2 for the campground, and then we don't have to state a dollar amount, right? Is that an okay way to do it?
Yeah, we could, yep.
Because, I mean, the breakdown here.
Or, yeah, you can approve it and I can, as long as you guys are, if you state that the individual amounts are okay, I can go through, add those up and put it into the minutes
Mhm.
and say that
Mhm.
that's the amount that you guys have approved.
any other quotes that we should get, like a 3-quote system? Or is there any conflicts of interest? You guys want an extra quote from another company, or has that already passed by?
I don't think we would need to.
Is who we, I mean, as a city, is who we use for public works and stuff.
Okay. Contractually?
That's just, we've kind of always, since I've been here, we've always had a go-to person. That's,
Are we comfortable with the 7-year warranty ones, or do we want to go with the
No,
2-year?
I think we go with the 7.
Yep, I agree.
Absolutely.
All right, I will make an emotion that the park board will pay for the 2 for the Kids Kingdom and the 2 for the campground of the 7-year limited warranty option. As presented by Shane Electric.
We're to put that on our council agenda.
They don't get to see that again.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor
Aye.
and opposed? And the motion carries. Thanks for organizing that. Jeff Myers, did you organize that? Thank you.
Did we have any updates for the bathhouses or the bathrooms?
yes.
Okay.
I do have kind of where we're at on that. I did talk with the plumber. And as I spoke with him or whatever, that we were backfilling and the block had been laid up to grade and the backfilling is getting done, then he ended up resubmitting the rough and plumbing permit to the state of Minnesota. So we are in limbo there moving forward. So that's kind of where the plumbing's at this point. I did contact him today and he was supposed to reach back out to me with information when he called the state, but I haven't heard back from him yet today. I'll reach back out to him tomorrow again. Just roughly working off your 240,000. As of right now, you're at 153,309 roughly left to spend. And for the outstanding quotes that I actually have in the office or whatever, which would give you basically your brick and mortar building, plumbing, electrical, steel work, stuff like that, you know, nothing outside yet. When you're done with that, you would basically be at about 72,641 left to spend. And just looking, you know, from stuff I haven't seen or whatever, I mean, you're going to have seed and landscape costs. I don't think, I haven't seen anything on like bathroom dividers or there, I see there were shower benches drawn in, stuff like that. The soap and toiletry dispensers and things like that. Then we'll still need a trail connection to meet ADA. And I think that would involve at least 3 sides of that building in order to get to the showers and then the front bathrooms, and then 3 sides would have to have sidewalks on them too yet. So we'd have some exterior concrete. And I believe we still have to make a road from the lower road of the campground up to the, through the new campsite, I think, I believe, to connect to the top. So that would have to be done. And then I was just painting if there was going to be any of the, because that'll be all CMU block, you know, or whatever. So if there's going to be a different color on the outside or anything like that, those are just some things I could think of that might still be outliers out there or whatever for expenses. And also I do have some requests for, which have been out there, I didn't get them in the agenda packet, but for the road that goes into the campground is basically inverted. It is no longer crowned. So and I think that was kind of on the agenda after we got all the grading done and seeded, was to add the rock that we needed to. There's a culvert to fix, add the rock we needed to, and then some city staff would like to see which we could self-perform, would like to see the grass area of the bulb go away and be all rock and kind of in that, and turn it in more of a cul-de-sac. Because they're kind of using it now that we're getting bigger campers up above, they're kind of just rutting through it anyways. So we would sub that out and add rock to that and kind of make it more of a turnaround. A little more feasible for the larger campers and stuff like that. But I do have some quotes on that for the rocking or whatever. So to grade the existing campground road and then add 5 inches of rock to put it back to a crown, which Schumacher's, this is from Schumacher's, would be $5,500. The cut out the green space and add 8 inches of class 5 back there in that green space area was $2,400, but we can self-perform that, city staff. And then on the way in, to remove that existing culvert and then raise up the low spot in the road by where below the new bathroom, and to bring that in level and get both sides of that road to drain would be $3,000. So basically $8,500 if you wanted to move forward with that. I know we got some puddling issues by the trash cans. If you've been back there lately or whatever, people are actually driving around the puddle and actually cutting into the new grass areas towards the campsites. So, I mean, it is an issue.
You said take away green space and turn it into rock.
I don't know if you've been back. There's, when you get past all the new campsites on the right, if you're driving to the back,
Yeah.
in the middle of that circle turnaround, there's just a teardrop of grass in the middle.
Yep.
And what we do is sub that out and put all that in rock. So basically at this point now with the bigger vehicles, people are cutting that and just turning it into mud anyways.
So it's not a significant loss of green space.
No,
Okay.
basically it's just an island of green inside
Okay,
that,
okay.
in that turnaround at the end.
Yeah, okay.
Ooh, an island of green sounds nice though.
Right, yes.
So are we coming out better or worse than what we thought?
Well, before, and I do apologize I was working off just the grant numbers is what I was given was the 120, basically, or just shy of that. So actually you would look to be approved or, from what Mike had sent out or whatever, was it 240, I think, was approved in 2024.
I think so.
So yeah, basically, like I said, by the time you have from what I'm looking at, just kind of ballparking, you're looking at around 73,000 after you have a brick and mortar building, plumbing, electrical, born triggers are done with the roof and stuff like that. Then we'd still have the exterior concrete, trail connections, some road work. But I mean, I think a fair amount, plenty of money to finish up the things that need to be done.
Brian said that it was approved for $350.
Yep, and I think the original one was like 340, 350, and that's what got sent in
For the grant?
for the grant.
Okay.
I think that, and then I've also seen that 240 was approved in 24.
Okay.
So, I mean, ultimately it's your guys' account, but so working off that 240, I took the lower number and
Yep.
like you say, you'll have a building with nothing done on the outside yet for
Yep.
roughly 73 is what I'm seeing with remaining of that 240.
So I do have a question. In the bathroom itself, did we put changing tables for babies?
Like that stuff, I have not seen any quotes whatsoever on that thing. So that's stuff that we'll have to.
We need
be
to
looked
remember
at.
to talk about that.
Yep.
Because just not say anything more.
The work out there looks awesome.
Mhm.
It looks really, really nice.
In the plan, I've seen there's like benches in the shower area before you get in and stuff like, so there's going to be some incidentals like that are going to come up and need to be addressed.
Yep.
But yeah, at this point, I'm just hoping we can get Rough in and then Kraus can get back and get Lane Block again. As soon as he gets a permit back from the state, he'll be roughing in plumbing and,
Perfect.
and then everybody else is basically waiting, so.
One project, not two, right? Because of one grant?
I believe it all fell together.
Yeah, because of the grant proposal, I think the bathhouse was included
Mhm.
with the campground.
Right,
Yep.
yeah.
And
And I will-
I think we sent in,
Nope.
that higher number, and then it came back and then went in for like 240, the next grant.
And then they did. It must have almost been like, almost like a cost share or something at that point, or 50/50 or something there. But yeah, because that's the way it's working out, about 120 or whatever, so.
And my final thought is with 72 grand left over, that grant was a match. Do we have to spend that on the campground and do something with it?
I know there's places, I got a list of stuff I know they want to make some more gravel pads like they did for the upper ones down below. I mean, there is places in that campground that, I mean, if we start getting closer on that bathhouse, I think it could be.
I could buy a lot of flowers.
Well, and when you start doing the interior work of it, then that's gonna cost some money.
It will, yep, and you got concrete and you got some, you got a little distance there to go with
Yep.
the road to the top and a trail back,
Mhm.
To the blacktop. Whether you do
Yep.
concrete there or blacktop at that point, back to the blacktop.
Yep.
But I do want to put a shout out to the city staff or whatever they did. A bunch of that money is almost 34,000 was performed by the city staff and equipment. So
Yeah,
off of
awesome.
Schumacher's bill for backfill, everything and all the work they did there, whatever, laying the pipe and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it looks awesome.
That's
Thank
great
them.
information.
Thank them.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that and teaching us and enlightening us. We need to know that.
So these projects that you mentioned with the inverted road and the cul-de-sac and all that stuff, does that need to be done now?
it would be nice if we could. They are circling around and starting to cut into, with the puddles we got and stuff like that. It would be nice. I know there was also talk of chloriding that road too, once it was regraded with the rock added to it. So I don't have that cost.
Yeah, that
Pretty
thing,
incidental, I think, compared to.
So is that something that we have to vote on, or can you just go ahead and do it?
I think you probably should, if you want me to move forward with this quote or whatever with Schumacher's, I could.
I think so. Get it done. Yep, I'll make a motion to go forward with the road work back there.
And a second,
I'll second.
all in favor
Aye.
and opposed? I'm sorry. Okay, you got your chance there. Okay, and opposed, motion carried. Okay.
Anything else, Miranda, that we forgot?
No,
It looks like roughly about $2,200 will come off here from that trailhead. That looked like to be actually the most expensive install
Yep.
was the trailhead
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
so.
I was gonna tell you, I added it up, it'd be at $3,647.24.
Perfect.
And the Park Road work was gonna cost $8,500?
Yes.
Is that what we were approving? Okay.
August 18th.
I just don't want it to get to be September, and then we try to get Schumacher to do it, and they're busy. Right.
And
Let's
that
get it
road's
done.
been like that for a long time.
Yeah.
It was discussed once the construction work was done and we were growing grass again, we'd get it back to fighting shape again or whatever, so.
Yep, perfect.
And the more we break it down, the more it costs.
I know we estimated 8,500, I'm sure it's not equal to 8,500. Is it not to exceed that?
That one that I cut out the that will self-perform was 2,400, but we will have a little bit of rock in there.
Okay.
So it might exceed that 8,500 a little bit, just in a
Okay.
couple loads of gravel.
Okay.
The hard cost of Schumacher's was 85.
Okay. I think I have all my stuff on here.
It's a lot to talk about.
Let's look at Brian's email one more time.
I think I'm good.
We just have to address the budget at either the next or September, right?
Yes.
Okay, and next month, we're gonna have Burbach and a report from the pool committee. Hopefully. Okay. I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Thank you for this meeting. It was very productive and I look forward to the next one.